Hello, everyone. I'm here. I'm just trying to get this working because I can't seem to be able to get rid of the background. The button that it was always here, it's not here. So what the heck is going on? Uh, can you guys hear me? There it is. I found it. Damn it. It was just funny. I think they changed the knobs on the right, and I couldn't find the damn thing. So the color is a little bit radier. Hang on just a moment. Obviously, few things have changed. The color is a little bit too red. I just looked at myself in the mirror. That's not my color. I'm not that red. I don't know what's going on. So I guess that's what you guys have to endure. I'm red today. Okay, let's see what the heck is going on here. Camera. All right. I don't know, some messy here. Shift. Okay. Well, whatever. You guys look at my face is red in your resolution too. I can't fix it from here. I don't know what's wrong with it. All right. So let's see what we got here. We have 8 people here. I thought for the lack of continuous live streaming a month later, it's the first time after a month, I guess. I thought we'll have 1,000 people here. Obviously, that proves my point that this channel is not needed. I'm not needed. God damn it. So, okay, Aman is here. 20 Mail India. Thank you for that. No, Aman, do the presentation. Doesn't matter. It's not about how it turns out. It's about the fact that you went through it. Your whole purpose of doing the presentation is to do the presentation. That's all. I don't care how it comes out. You shouldn't care either. You're there to do your best and don't worry about the outcome. Detach yourself from the outcome. Every time you want to do a presentation or anything it is, sports activities, whatever it is, train well, prepare well, and when you're there, do your best, but detach yourself from the outcome. Detach yourself from the outcome. Did I say that? Detach yourself from the outcome. Do not think about how it's going to look, what they're going to think of me, how it's going to go, what's the effect of it, am I going to do it? None of that shit. Just do it. Whatever it is. Your purpose is doing the presentation. You detach yourself from the outcome and the quality while you're doing it. You do all that beforehand, the planning and all the stuff they want to go through. The rest of it doesn't matter. Who cares? Do your presentation, come out. There we go. I miss this place, my favorite place in the world. And I haven't done streaming for a while. I haven't seen this beautiful scenery that is the background. Avatar is here. Says, hi, Miran. Great to hear you again. Hello. Good to see you guys, too. I mean, I can't see you guys, but soon I'm supposed to have my site revamped by my kind programmer in UK, and hopefully, when it's all done and ready, we'd be able to have uh, Zoom meetings, and I can see your faces, and of course, I'll be fee based, so that's not free, but there'll be like 10, 15 people at a time can log in and a nominal fee, and then we could all, at least I can see you guys, and then we can have a session, but for 15 people max, and then that'll be a couple of hours so everybody gets in to put a couple of questions in. After says, hi Miran, male UK 39, says, I'm currently single, I'm divorced, and my last relationship ended last year. So when you say you're divorced, that means your last relationship was with your wife and now you're divorced, or you've been divorced for a while and you've been going on date and your last date relationship was ended last year. A little bit more detail, please. So I always give relationships my all and end up being left disappointed and heartbroken. Because you give your all, you think giving your all means a logical approach towards stabilizing and giving a good foundation and longevity to the relationship. But that's your thinking and it's correct. But what about the other side? You find yourself responsible for the whole totality of the relationship. That's wrong. You can only do your part. But all along, you should see if the other side is doing her part rather than thinking she's not doing her part, so I should be doing more. Maybe that's why. No, she's not doing her part, you cut down. And if she's not doing more, meaning she continues not doing her part, you just end it. But most guys don't have the balls to end it because we are so wrapped up in that desired pleasure that we get through intimacy from a woman. And that makes us feel as if they're doing a favor and not respecting yourself. Therefore, you're putting up with everything and trying harder and harder while she's not putting in what she's supposed to and responsible to put in. And you don't judge her, all because there's a pleasure that she can facilitate. Through her, you arrive to that supreme level of pleasure that every one of us is after. And because that is a possibility when you lay beside her, then you forgive and close your eyes and not focus on all the things that are wrong in that relationship. You justify the physical pleasure for anything that is missing in the consciousness bonding between the two of you. And you feel okay because all you're really focusing all day long is to, you know, the physical intimacy. But that's not where the relationship is, because if you're only focused and putting up with everything so you can get that physical intimacy, there is no assurance that that relationship is actually a balanced relationship, and it could always, regardless of what you do, what you buy for her, what kind of attention you show her, could always break down. Why? Because you never focused on what is it that she's bringing into this mix. Are you only are you the only person responsible to build this relationship, or does she have to do certain duties and responsibilities that everyone in a relationship should take upon? When you don't focus on that and you're only focusing on how much more I can give to get, you're giving to get assurance. But I want you to stop giving to see what the other person is giving. Then equalize it. Right off the bat, most guys, all of us, we cherish, we worship, we want that woman to be happy. And we have bought into this idea that it is my responsibility to make her happy, rather than expecting her to be responsible for her own commitment and contentment and happiness. And I would be my own. And then I bring this contentment and happiness into the relationship. As long as you go into the relationship, so she will make you happy, or she comes into the relationship and so you would make her happy. And as long as you think you're responsible to make her happy, then you're doomed. That relationship is doomed, because nobody is being objective. Nobody is being truthful about their responsibilities toward that relationship. She's coming in for you to make her happy, and you buy into the fact that you're responsible to make her happy. Why? You're responsible to have your career, your interests, your mechanical processes, to make yourself through them, to make yourself happy, hopeful, accomplish, and she's responsible to do the same. But if you want to take responsibility to make her happy, you'll go all out, do all the things that you think you should do so she will like you. No, it has to be balanced. And then you will be disappointed, because you've been the one who all along put best foot forward, did all the things, you know? And naturally, you're going to be disappointed, because she's going to feel, well, this guy is doing everything for me. Why do I have to do anything? And people like challenges. And when she feels that everything is being given to her without her really attending to her duties and responsibilities, as a normally one would attend to in a relationship, she'll say, well, maybe he's too desperate. Maybe he's not good enough for me. Why? Because he's paying so much attention to me. And most women don't have enough confidence in themselves. So when they see someone is paying so much attention to them, they say, well, I don't think I'm that hot. So why is this guy so hung up on me? And because I don't think I'm that great, but he thinks maybe it's because he's not that great. And if he's not that great, I don't want him. They want to go somewhere that is not sure that they like them or not. These are like shallow women, women who don't have enough confidence. If they do have enough confidence, then they appreciate the quality that they're receiving from the man that is paying attention to them, and they have entered into a relationship with him. So, on that basis, you end up holding the short end of the stick because she thinks it's something wrong with you that is paying so much attention to her, rather than seeing it that she's just lucked out to have a nice guy. But she is trying to prove to herself that she's desirable, and she thinks being desirable is having someone who doesn't pay enough attention to her, that she must do things and convince that person that she's great. Then she feels, okay, I'm in a challenge and I'm proving myself, and I have to do something that this person would like me, rather than handing it out in silver platter. And that's the balance. So let's see. Not every woman is the same. Many are of right mentality, strong, confident, appreciative. They're looking for quality. But that should be determined between the two of you, not from the outset. You just give in, give in, give in for what? What has she done? That's it, just because she lays down there and, well, that's not something she's doing. We're programmed to like women and, seek women and want intimacy. And so it's not something special. Every woman can do that, can provide that. But you got to look for a speciality. What is it that creates the bonding between the consciousnesses? That's the balance. All right. And Avatar says, we all make mistakes, and I do want to be in a relationship, but at the same time, I feel a bit disillusioned, in the sense I'm almost 40, but yet to find a great partner. And I'm losing faith in the process. I'm focusing on my life and goals and making something out of myself, but I love being in a relationship and miss intimacy like most men. Is there any advice you can give to help me not lose hope in finding someone who qualifies? I have a very young child who's almost 2 years old, which tends to put a lot of ladies off as well. I am losing a bit of confidence. I don't think I have ever been loved by a woman before, despite me loving them. Oh, then you've been running around the wrong kind. You're not qualifying woman. You're just going after any woman because you come from a weak position in your mind, which is not weak at all. In your mind, you think you're 40 years old. You think that's old. Firstly, you have to understand, when I was 43, I was the top of the world. I was in best shape of my life, strong. The wisdom that I had was far better than when I had it when I was 25. My career, my money, everything was top of the world for me, top of my game. So between age 40 and 50, that's the best and strongest period of life for a man. So if you think 40 is old, you're mistaken. Most women from age 26 upward, they're looking for a 40-year-old woman. I mean, man. Because they feel they want a man who can take care of them, protect them, have a career, have some money to provide, and be wise enough, having seen a thing or two in life, so has experience about how to handle life, negotiate life, and so it can be a partner to lean on, at the same time to count on. And they have found out that most men, not all, most men at their age, if they're like 26, 25, or 30 or something, they most probably, with exceptions, are not ready to take responsibilities or appreciate their woman, and they just want to try different kind of a woman and try to see what's out there, just like many young women do. But age 40 is a prime target for women of all ages, younger or not so younger. They all would like to have someone that they can count on, and they prefer a man who is young at the same time, wiser than, you know, the young the younger men. So age 40 is just the beginning of your life. I'm telling you. I'm telling you from experience. So you have no idea the attraction that the 40 and up year old woman, a man, has for a woman. Every woman, this, in addition to whatever else, they're looking for psychological security and physical security, of course. But psychological security is when they can feel they can count on this man's loyalty, stability, foundation, wisdom, ability to negotiate life, experience, and provision, and so on. Women are nesters. They don't necessarily want to jump around here and there, but they've been duped to think that's what life is all about. You got to try this, try that, try this, try that to make yourself feel you're wanted. And these are the wrong type of influences that the society has put on them. But they eventually come to their senses, their nature, that they want security, stability, commitment, love, loyalty, kindness, provisions, and then that they will mostly find that in men who are in their, mid-age, not so young. Again, with exceptions. And we have Kyle here, so I can hear you. Okay, good. And Mazakarel says, welcome back, Mehran. We've missed you. I missed you guys too, but I've been busy on my TikTok channel in regards to what's been happening in Canada for the past month or so. So I've had many videos put on TikTok. And you guys know my TikTok ID is Mind Seeks. Mind Seeks. I put it here. So if you want to check it out, you're welcome to do it. It's mostly political. It's got, it's not discussing. There are a few videos that I put there last year or a couple of years ago in regards to what we're talking about here, relationship and the psyche and so on. But since a month ago, I've been putting lots of videos on that. And funny enough, some of the videos within 2 or 3 days, they hit like 50,000, 20,000, 80,000 views and going up. It's not like here. 100, 200. It's a different topic. And I guess it's a topic of the day. And so I've been busy with these matters of, freedom and the political situation and infringement of our freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of movement, freedom of equality. I mean, equality itself. They're basically articles of 2, 6, 7, and 15 of Charter of Rights of Canada. So these are the dangers we're facing today here in this country. So mostly my talks on TikTok has been on that challenge. Zeliko Bilik says WW3 over here. Hmm. Adrian Balakir. Guys, remember what our deal was? Age, gender, where you're tuning in from? You've forgotten that, right? But I need three things: your age, your gender, which country or city you're watching this program right now, or you come from. That gives me a little bit of background, how to address you, and to know your gender so it's appropriately sentenced. And at the same time, the background, the country where you come from, gives me a little bit cultural background. And the age, I got to make sure that you're, you know, over 18 or at least know your age. And if you're very young, I hope that you have permission from your parents to be here. So Kyle said, okay, Adrian says, how to break thoughts that she was that girl destiny to you. She wasn't. There's no such destiny. You make your destiny. You start a girl. What are you going to do about this? You start a relationship with a girl who's perfect in every way for you, according to what your expectations are. And then do you call that's your destiny? But what if the changes that happens in her consciousness, every human being's consciousness every day, eventually in a year or two, she's no longer thinking or behaving or having the same values as she did when she met you? What are you going to call her? But she was your destiny. If it's a destiny, it should be, forever, right? So it's not a destiny. It just happens to be in the same wavelength and consciousness. And when it's not no longer there, because consciousness is dynamically changing all the time, depending on what kind of a challenges it receives and how it responds to it. And that response itself reforms it and again modifies it, and so on and so forth, through experiences and so on. So that means a person, two people who are in a relationship, they could change their attitudes towards their principles, their beliefs, the policy, their lifestyle of what they like, what they don't like, and so on, and the credentials that they might have changes, and also expectations and the standards and so on. So when that happens, when all those changes happens, and you guys don't are not compatible anymore, don't suit each, don't fit anymore, is that still your destiny? That's the same girl that at one time you called her destiny. So don't fall for that kind of nonsense. No girl is your destiny. As long as your consciousnesses are bonding and learning and compromising and tolerating and flexible, then okay, fine. But if it's not, then well, you can't continue calling it destiny. That's the problem. When you call somebody your destiny, then you get messed up, because when things don't work out, you think, oh, my destiny is broken. No, she changed in her consciousness and no longer qualified. It's no different. It's like it's an athlete that goes to Olympic, is qualified, fit, goes to Olympics, and he or she runs fast or does what he or she is trained to be the best. Okay, that's the quality of that athlete. But is he still going to be, or she still going to be the same 2 years later? No longer has the same capabilities, so the qualities are changed. You can't call her or him the Olympian anymore on that year. So you can't just give a label that she's my destiny. It's like she's the champion of track this time in Olympics. Okay. But 4 years later, 3 years later, 2 years later, somebody else might. She's not. She's changed her training, her diet, and she's no longer. So you can't call her the Olympic champion forever, As long as she stays fit and in that form, yes. Same thing. As long as she's qualified and compatible with you in that relationship, okay, she can call her a destiny. But when she's no longer of the same mentality and compatibility and so on, what's happening in your consciousness, you can't call her destiny. Destiny is a destination, right? This destination is not um, uh, absolute. So don't go on that, because you always be disappointed. Qualify and qualify and qualify. You cannot focus on one quality of a woman and say, because she has that one quality that I'm really focused on, then she's got all other qualities. No, a relationship is a combination of all qualities to be present that you expect and meets your standards. And you can't simply call it a perfect relationship because one of those qualities is exactly what you want or satisfactory, the intimacy part. And then you expect everything else to follow. And you wonder why it's not working, because relationship is not about just sex. It's an important part of it. But if that's working well, it doesn't mean it's a good relationship, because if other parts of the bonding and the consciousness and behavior and compatibility and so on and so forth is not working. It's like saying I have a car, it's got a good engine, it's got no brakes, the tires are not good, and the body is not safe to sit in, or the airbags don't work, the wheels are not. So you can't say, oh, it's got a good engine though. But I wonder why every time I sit on it, I get in an accident, because the wheels are not aligned and they pull differently that way, and the brake doesn't work. So it has to be a combination. And then you can expect some good performance out of it. Otherwise, you know, okay, sex is good. All right. Or she's hot. Okay. You don't have a relationship with the hotness. You have a relationship with the consciousness. What runs that hot body is what you have a relationship with. Hmm? So many girls are just drop dead gorgeous, but you can't stand them when you get to know them, because your consciousness are not balanced. And in the eyes of the woman, the same thing. They could see lots of men good looking and have provisions and so on, but the mentality is not suitable to each other. They're not compatible on conscious level. Therefore, it's not going to work. They can't even stand the guy. So it's all about a whole package. Just make sure that you don't consider one quality of a woman to be forming the complete package and what's expected from her, or in her mind from you. All right. Kyle says, hey, Maron, first live stream for me. Oh, is it? I thought you've been here before. The stream name, I mean, the thumbnail is, screen name is familiar. Or maybe. Says, love your videos and your outlook on life. I've already used a lot of your advice. Thank you. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I've seen your comments. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm delighted that you're here and you're enjoying the channel. And Phil McCracken. Is that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. But is that a real name, or is it actually, is it like what the last name is, or McCracken is like you made up something? It's like the movie, what was it? Bad something? His name was McLovin, the fake ID. Anyhow, I don't mean to be facetious or rude. I just, because McCracken is like, maybe it's a name. Anyhow, I don't mean to be disrespectful to your name. I just, I'm funny sometimes. Um, It says, I've had 10 girlfriends in the last 2 years. Oh, good for you. I'm worried I'll never find the right person. Why are you worried? You're having a good time. What's a hurry to give up half of your half of your belongings? What's the matter? Just enjoy. Hold on. Hang on. All right. It says, how do I find the right one? Oh, okay. If you knew it, let me know. We're all in it together. Don't worry about it. It's all right. You don't look for the right one. You just live your life, accomplish yourself, learn things you want to learn, create the mechanical process, the things that you like to do in life as much as you can. And then the energy that you put out of your lifestyle, happiness and contentment and accomplishments, that energy will be out there and it will eventually cross with someone who's looking for that, and she will appear in your life. You don't look for it. I don't. If I knew how to look for it, I won't be here. I would be talking. I would be at the source where they're hanging out, all the right ones. My Instagram, Aman, is actually used to be quite active. I have lots of little notations and quotes and things on the Instagram. I have 1,000 of something follower there, but I haven't been active on Instagram at all. However, in TikTok, I had only like maybe, I don't know, 200 followers when I would put some of these short videos in regards to the psyche, movement of the mind, and the relationship or the thoughts and so on and so forth. I'd like maybe, I don't know, 10 or 20 of those. And I had like 200 maybe followers. But within the last 2 3 weeks, suddenly they're now about over 7,000, and maybe they will get to know my channel from there. I don't know. TikTok is banned in India. That's funny. It's the only one that I'm active on as far as these quick videos. But you can put up to 5 minute videos though. So when I have 6 part videos, like 30 minutes, I cut them in 6 part, and part one, part two, part two. But on TikTok, part 6 and so on. Josh Frithie says, I have just come out of a 2 year relationship. She already sleeping with other people after 2 weeks. Yeah, well, how do I get past this fast? I'm trying to focus on university, but I can't settle. You're supposed to let me know your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from before I can answer. I need that information. So why don't you add that and I'll get back to it. Atif says, hey, Mehran, 39, male, New York City. Thank you for that. Now, my question is that I haven't been doing a live stream for a month now. Why is it that there's only 6 of us here? if so many of you are kind enough to write me and say, where are you? We haven't seen you. We're worried about you. And I appreciate that. Very kind. But I'm saying, if that is really of use, this channel and these live streams, why the hell do we have only 9 people here? Why is it 9,000? That's not a motivation for me to keep doing live streams and there's just 9 people here. Okay, I appreciate every one of you to be here. These are the most important people who are here, naturally. But what I'm just saying, as far as marketing and justification for time spent and allocation of time, would you guys not think there's something wrong here? Either the topic is not interesting or the channel is not helpful. But that's contrary to what I've heard for thousands and thousands of you that the channel is amazing and the content is supreme. So I don't know what the heck is going on. All right. Josh says 21 UK male. Okay, Josh, at age 21, you hardly know who you are. You may think you do, and I'm sure you do, but you hardly really have established enough standards and expectations and principles and experiences to know what kind of girl really is something to write home about. Right now, at that age, or any age pretty much, for us heterosexual male, we see a pair of legs, a nice looking smile, beautiful outgoing personality. We think that's the right girl. And we just, fall all over ourselves. But you got to go deeper than that. So at age 21, the fact that you just came out of a relationship and she's been sleeping with somebody else in 2 weeks after the breakup, and you're surprised by that. But look at her age. Her age is probably what, 20, 21, 22, the same category as you are. She hardly knows who she is and what she wants out of life herself. She's looking to establish herself as someone popular, someone who gets attention. So she's going to be responding to attentions that she's getting. But that doesn't mean that she's of any real quality for you. It just means that neither one of you are at the age to exactly be sure what standards and principles and qualities you're looking for in a partner. And you should not think that she was the one that ran away or got away. She was just one experience at this age, and you will have many more yet to come. And you should not even be bothered by who she sleeps with or not. You should just focus on the fact that this was an experience at this age for me to get to know what relationship is about. And I'm going to have many other women coming into my life and help me to learn about life and myself and what kind of qualities of woman is worthy of me going after and not pay attention to the others. So these are all experiences that are helping you to find what kind of woman you're looking for, find what kind of personality you are, what you appreciate, what you don't appreciate, what behavior you appreciate, what behavior you don't appreciate in a woman and in a relationship, how it tumbles this relationship, what challenges are there. And this is the purpose of all these young time relationships. These are like practice times. You being from UK, you must know about soccer. Yeah. So what do? Do you just go to tournament and this is a championship? No, you practice a lot. Many games you practice to learn the game, to become good at it. And then eventually you get into go to tournaments and go for the real championship or real game that you're expecting it to be. So many of these dates at this age are that training, that becoming good at the game, learning how it's played. And when you're about 28, 29, 30 years old, that's the time you will enter an arena where you know every bits and inches of the pitch. You know how the ball is going to bounce here, bounce there, as much as possible. It's still not going to be like you know everything, but at least you will feel comfortable on the pitch, your position, how you react, how you anticipate where you're going to be, how you position yourself, all of that. You know about what the woman could want. I should have a career, be able to provide, I should have money, which means at this time, it's time for you to focus on your studies. That is going to bring the bread. That is going to bring you certain kind of a job. That's going to bring you certain kind of echelon and credibility. That's going to bring you ability to provide for a woman. And they're going to be looking for that. So you can have a nice, clothes, nice car, nice house, or something that would show that you can provide stability. That's what they're looking for. So none of these dates at this age mean anything really other than emotional, satisfaction and the experiences that you get, and of course the love and so on. It's all important. But when it breaks down, do not despair. Do not think that, oh, she's sleeping with somebody. Who gives a shit? Let her go sleep with whoever she wants. because it was not something that could be considered as the real tournament, real championship. It was a warm-up game. So you just came out of the training, and sometimes you went well, sometimes it doesn't go well. It doesn't matter. At this age, you hardly know yourself, let alone knowing what kind of girl you want. So the one that just is sleeping with somebody else, she should, because she's no good for you. Why would you want some girl that is sleeping with other people? Why would you care about the girl that you guys were together and you went to a distance and then it broke down? If it broke down, that means you're not compatible anymore, or you don't want to be compatible anymore. So then she can go and do what she wants. That's her choice. You got no say in that. And you can go do what you want, and that's your choice. She has no say in that. Don't focus on that. The only reason that you're thinking about her, because it's a long discussion in here. It's not the place. If you guys want a further discussion with me, you know what to do. Go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, mindthatseekstruth.com. Make an appointment for a Skype consultation, and we'll discuss in detail the role of the psyche and what you are going through, how you can see the situation, what things you should focus on, and how to move on, and so on and so forth. We analyze it from the eye of the psyche. But because this is a continuation, a discussion is a lot, so I can find it interesting to go into, but then before we know it, it's like 3 hours past and we haven't answered any other question. So anyhow, the short and long is, don't give a shit. Move on. You'll be fine, I assure you. And the next girl they find and say, oh, God damn it, I'm so happy that the other one broke down, because why? Now I'm with this one, and this is the right one. And then until that breaks down and say, oh, I'm devastated. That was the right one. But then you find another one. So, oh, that's the right one. And that will continue, which is good news. All right. And Zakaria Marbahi says, you're a fan from Morocco. Welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan. I think that's what it said. Says, hey, can I subtitle your videos in Arabic for the ones who don't speak English? Sure, go ahead. What's your age and what's your background, Zakaria? And send me an email and we can chat about it on Skype and get it going. Just give me a little info on yourself. Maza Karel says 34 male shithole. Shithole. Is that a joke, or is it actually there's a place called Shithole in Melbourne? Says, I'm in a new relationship for about a year. However, she complains that I don't do special things or remember anniversaries like I would in my past relationship. Is normal. Yeah, you can cherish a woman who's a little bit jealous about you, so no problems. You do some special thing, goddammit. What do you expect? Eh? Take care of her. Be nice to her. Buy her flower. Don't fucking forget the anniversary. What's wrong with you? These are the little things that women appreciate, because that's a subtle way of showing them that you care, and they want to know that they're cared for or about. You can't just have the most special moment of your life, which is when you lay beside her, and then not appreciate her. I'm telling you, this is what you do. Now listen carefully now. Listen carefully now. You cook some nice food, or you order the food if you don't want to cook. You clean your place, nice and clean. And you go to a flower shop and you buy roses. But you only tell them, I want the top of the roses. I don't want the stem, just the top of the roses. They buy about maybe, I don't know, 100 of them. And then you either throw them just as they are, because they're just top of the roses, or you take the petals, rose petals, and you pour it in front of the entrance. when it's inside your place, when she walks in, and everywhere that she might be walking, mm, and on your bed, and on the couch. And she feels special when she comes in, and you treat her nice. You have nice dinner with her. Let her know that she's worshipped, she's appreciated. That little some things that you can do once in a while can go a long way. Why? Because you genuinely showed you cared, you spent time, effort, you prepared, you cleaned, you put roses for her to walk on. It's a subtle way of non-communication words, non-verbal communication, that you are expressing your emotions and how important she is to you. She will never forget it. Try some roses on the bed when you guys want to have your, you know, time. So appreciate that moment rather than making it just a mechanical thing. Bring some emotions, some choreography into it, some things, and you know, anyhow, the rest of it you can figure out as you go. Okay. All right, what else do we have here? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. N8 the Great. Okay. N8 the Great says, how can I fall in love with a girl that has no care for me? How can you? It's not difficult. You like a girl, you fall in love with her. So, oh, but you're asking why should you? Well, you got to understand that it's not something that she's done. So really, you're not in love with her because she hasn't done anything for you to respond with the emotional intensity of love. It's lust what you feel for her, and that feeling of possession and hunting, as we're all hunters. We want a challenge. We see a beautiful thing, we want to be with her. We want her to appreciate us. We will feel good if she affirms us by her smile. This is how we're built. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, or if she doesn't pay attention to you, if there's anything wrong with you, or you're not good enough. It's just the way it enhances our manhood, that we feel a woman is appreciating what I have become. And I want that affirmation. So that's basically all it is. But recognize that she hasn't done anything to win your heart. So, what you feel for her, especially in this case, that she doesn't care about you, what you feel for her is not her doing. So, she's got no credit in there. So, it's your desire for pleasure and intimacy and your program to pursue for procreation a female, and that is lust. Love comes when you guys bond on consciousness level and you treat each other in special manners through your unselfishness, provisions, care, attention, and supporting each other in different challenges of life. That's a different story and different stage of emotion, and that could lead to love. But this, what you feel, is not love, it's lust. But we can't tell the difference between love and lust until time passes and we see if there are enough credentials to prove to us what we feel about her is love, or has it always been lust and nothing more. So once you have that sexual intimacy for a while, then you can see if you actually love her or not. Until then, which there are no interaction between the consciousnesses, it's just basic programming of heterosexual male loving a woman, wanting a woman, pursuit of a woman, intimacy, sex, and that's how we're programmed for procreation. That's no indication of love. It's indication of desire, and there are steps that desire needs to, prerequisites to desire to be born. There's steps, prerequisite steps to be provided to be present before it becomes desire. And I have a video on that says desire and how to stop it. And there's one is 10 minutes, one is 3 minutes, and explains to you the prerequisite steps for desire to be formed. And that takes place pretty much all the time when we see a woman. The desire, especially when it takes the steps that it needs to take, the desire is formed. But that doesn't mean that's love. That's how we're programmed. So if you can distinguish these two, then you wouldn't be wondering that, oh, she doesn't pay attention to me, so I'm devastated because I love her. No, you don't love her. You lust for her. No, another pretty girl come by, prettier than her, or turns you on more. Suddenly you're switching over there, because neither one of them you know. So it's not that you love her. You love what she's doing for you. And what she's doing for you on her side is nothing, but by being present and existing, it's doing something to your emotional needs and your needs for intimacy, and that's what you interpret as love, but it is not love. So and N8G Great says, I spent Christmas with her family, then she left out of town, ghosted me, and dumped me when she came back to town. I was blindsided. Now, how do I trust again? You don't have to trust her again, but what does it have to do with trusting other people? The other woman, amazing, balanced, and no weirdos. If they invite you to Christmas dinner with their family, it must mean something. And if it doesn't, well, that's on them, not on you. You haven't done anything wrong. But you also have jumped the gun, thinking just because you're invited to Christmas dinner, that means, wow, I'm invited to the God's cabin. No. What the hell? So she invited you to a Christmas party. What do you think her family is? They've been nice to you, great. But that doesn't mean that it has any religious connotation that we are now bonded, meant to marry each other. No. She was hot for you and you guys were in a relationship, and for some reason, whatever, she invited to a Christmas party. So what's the big deal? What's so big deal about her home that your presence there makes you amazing person now? You're much better than before because you were invited to a Christmas party of your girlfriend. It depends how she behaves with you afterwards, before that, during it. Not just mean anything because she invited you to a Christmas party. So what? Her qualities obviously is not commendable. It's not up to par. It's not up to your expectations. So you disqualify her, whether she invited you to Christmas party or whatever party. That was how she felt then. But if she can't follow it up, means nothing, and you should let it go. You shouldn't think, oh, I must mean something because I was invited there. Then how she must have felt special for me, and I don't feel special anymore because she's now not with all that nonsense. She invited you for dinner, and that's on her if she's not following it up. What do you think? It should mean something. You make it up as if you don't worth anything, and by being invited to someone's Christmas party, that means, oh, I'm in. I've made it. Made it where? Who are they? Find another woman. And 25 France male. Hi, Meran. Hello there. Okay. And we have Ash Hudson. Hello, Ash. How are you? This is Meran. I thought you went and volunteered to fight in the Ukraine. You've been gone a while, brother. I hope you're doing well. Yes, thank you very much. I've been mostly on TikTok in regards to the question of freedom and our rights here that has been jeopardized by the behavior of the government here. And so I've been making videos on my TikTok, the political videos. It's a different tangent of mine. So it's been busy with that sort of concerning matters. We've had lots of things happening in Canada, and so that's where I've been, and just um, focusing on that. It's funny, some of the videos I mentioned on TikTok in a few days went up to 100,000 viewers and 20,000, 10,000. 1,000 is just in a jiffy. And here, 1,000 is a year. But of course, it's a topic of the day subject. It's about uh, things that most people are focusing on, and it's about the situation in the country. So that's been the kind of, and I had like maybe 300 followers at the beginning of it. I had few videos on the psyche and things to do with relationships and so on, happiness and whatnot. I had maybe 10 or 15 videos. So I had maybe 200, 300 followers. But within the last few weeks, it's now up to about close to 8,000 followers and over what 50,000 likes. That's a different way of you know uh, communicating with people. It's much faster. So that's the story, Ash. And 25 France mail says, thanks for all your work done on your channel. My problem started when I was depressed September 2021. My libido got crushed to zero and returned in a homosexual way. Mhm. And where's the rest of your note? And what's your screen name? Because it's not that easy to call you 25 France mail. There must be a name in there. Anyhow, I don't have the rest of it. He said, and Random Miguel says, why don't I feel attraction to girls but feel attraction to guys? I hate this. Please help. Why is this? Well, you look at the HOCD videos that I have that will explain to you. I have two playlists. One is called Intrusive Thoughts, Transient Thoughts, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts. And that talks about nitty gritties of interpretation of different thoughts that show up and the association of thoughts and how it moves along and brings a certain other kind of conclusions for you and how you can interpret it and get out of that. At the same time, there's another playlist that is focusing on the separation between brain and you, that you are not the brain, brain is not you. And I have proven in that scientifically and philosophically, I have proven clearly, and by the use of the neurosurgeons and neuroscience and experiments that was done by many world-class neuroscientists such as Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Libet. And it was a report that Dr. Egnar has done. And I used that report and enhanced certain things that was necessary to add. And it's a very good video for you to pack lots of information from Aristotle time 1,000 years ago in regards to philosophical point of view, and now modern science using neuroscience and neurosurgery and experiments, and that has proven beyond the shadow of the doubt that there are aspects of mind and you that the brain cannot even reach, let alone thinking that the brain is you or you're the brain. And of course, many of the studies of Dr. Schwartz and work of the pioneer of the work in regards to number of activities in the brain could represent, like a cluster of actions in the brain represents one movement. And that is very interesting that Dr. Anne Grable and her postgraduate study student Carl Smith, Kyle Smith, has done on rats in regards to neuroscience of habit. And it's very interesting. So anyhow, what was I going with this? Yeah, so you can go on the channel, and then the playlist that I was talking to you about is called Intrusive OCD HOCD short videos. Intrusive OCD, HOCD short videos. I think that's what it's called. And that's basically focusing on separation of the brain and you, which is very important in dealing with OCD and HOCD and so on. And we have Sid here. Says, hello, General. Sid, male, 34, Manchester. Thank you for that. Says, doing much better after our talk. Listening to you always helps. I'm now slowly distancing myself from that person. Good for you. And it does help me a lot. I feel free and relaxed. I just hope I do not overdo it and go into a cold war. No, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do that. Because it is not, what you're doing is not to communicate what you're doing to her. Remember, that's the key here. What you're doing is to communicate to yourself that you're trying to regulate your dependency on her, on that friendship, which is not, in fact, as you said, meeting your standards or your expectations, but you find yourself drawn to it because that's the only apple in the store. You've been lazy to go to other stores, look for different fruits, and you've been only on this store and there's only one apple there, so you're dependent on making sure that apple is there. So you attend to it. Everything she wants, you do. You cooperate in outings and communication, so on. But once you have other apples in that stores and other stores that could carry apples, then you wouldn't find that you have to cater to this one at all costs just because there's a need in you to be in communication with females because there are other options you have created. Then naturally, this relationship will regulate itself. But at this point, until to get to that point, you need to do what you're doing, but that is for you to regulate it. It's not to communicate to her what you're doing. So you wean off, but without being rude or disrespectful or ignoring her or being as gentleman as you are or courteous as you've always been. So you can continue that mannerism, but just cut it down. We're not saying change the food, we're just saying reduce the quantity. And then while you reduce the quantity, you'll still have space, hunger to replace with other food in other restaurants available. You will be seeking it. Why? Because you didn't get so much of this cake here, so much of this friendship and relationship activities, so you would still be hungry for more activities. And since you have decided not more than a certain amount of activity would be pursued with this friend, you will be going, therefore, to other sources to find such activities to satisfy your hunger for friendship with other females. So remember, you don't want to turn it into a cold behavior, because this is not to introduce the idea to her. It is not retaliating. It is not to communicate to her. It is to communicate to you. So you remain the quality of the friendship, but quantity less. When the quantity becomes less, the friendship is no longer posing any danger, emotional danger to you, to be dependent on it. And you will pursue naturally other opportunities, which then brings a balance to your world, to your world, universe. Sid says, for example, I'm not spending time a lot with her, not doing anything at all. She invites me for dinner. I said no. I'm confused on my work. I'm focused on my work, you say, physical and mental health, and meeting other people. Yeah, good. So nice listening to you. Very insightful, John. Okay, good. I'm delighted. Yeah, you're doing good. But, don't cut off because she's going to be confused and she's going to ask you why, and then you got to explain, and it becomes all mushy and so on. Just wean it, but still participate, but enough for her to feel you're not having any animosity or objection to this friendship, but at the same time, it's enough for you to free some time and bring motivation to you because you're still hungry for the things that you like to pursue in friendship, and you go to hunt and find other opportunities. Lucas, okay, no, okay. Random Miguel says, thank you so much. I will make sure to check it out. Thank you. You're welcome. And Lucas25 France Mail says, think my name will pop up now. Oh, Lucas, yeah. There it is. Yeah, thank you, Lucas. Merci beaucoup, Lucas. Says, don't want to bother you, but you missed the second part of my message. I'm going to repost it right now. Oh, okay. Did I? Let's go for finding it. I only see one. Says, thanks for all your work done on your channel. My problem started when I was depressed, September 2021. My libido got confused and da da da. Well, okay. Now that's the only question I have from you, Lucas. I don't see anything. Maybe certain words in the comment needs to be changed. Maybe the system automatically doesn't let some comments to be reflected because it has, I don't know. These days everything is censored and canceled. Or, I mean, we no longer are free to make our own mind and say what we want to say, express it the way we. There's some kind of a group or entity that decides what we should say or we should not say. It's also messed up now. Anto Seropian says, hello, Mehran. Antranik 18 from Lebanon. Remember? Actually, maybe. It's been a long time now. Did we talk on Skype? We might have, huh? Still watch many of your videos and showed some friends your channel because you're great. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it for the kind words. I appreciate you introducing the channels to the others because it's very important. At least we don't want to have only 12 people on a live stream after a month not doing it. So that's not really encouraging you or giving me the right cues. Anto says, no, I joined your live once. Oh, okay, great. Well, thank you for being here again, and you're welcome to be here. So we now have 13 people here, whopping 13. I remember the days that we had like nominal, like it was 32, and we were just thinking, oh, that must be a number. Look at us now. 10 years later, we have 13. That's an improvement, isn't it? Mike F says, hello, Mehran. Do you have an advice how a man who is holding classical conservative values can deal with a society where these values have been destroyed by toxic feminism? Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's partly our own fault. If we go deep into it, this whole business is started by probably a political movement for some reason. Let's say started with some women who didn't understand how important role of woman is in this world, how precious and the center of universe they are, Everything is about them and for them in our eyes. And without them, nothing really moves. And yet they forgot all about the importance that they have in this world to this life and to us men. And they started trying to behave like men, as if that is a competition, as if being something that they're not is better than being what they are, and they're amazing at it. It's like not appreciating their importance in this life. There's a balance in this life, yin and yang, feminine and masculine. Everything in this world exists because it comes from the bonding between a feminine and masculine. Nothing can be born, or no offspring could be created, if it's not because of woman. So can it be any more important than that? So why the hell did you guys try to pretend that you're not important enough, that you have to be, I don't know, like men? Try to think that you have to compete to become something that you're not. Okay, I understand as far as the equal pay, equal rights, equality in everything, that's perfectly fine. But hating men, not being feminine, which makes you all the reasons we want to worship you, because you're feminine. You have the touch that can grow green plantations. Our touch is not as beautiful as yours. We try to take care of something, we can't take care of it as good as you do, honestly. Yet you thought you're not important. You have to not be feminine. That's what we like about you. Femininity, the way you dress up, the way you behave, the way you talk, the way you let us protect you. But then you went on and took away all the beauty that we would get up off our chairs when you entered the room. When you want to shake hand with us, we used to get up and shake hand, bow, kiss your hand as an expression of respect. But you thought none of that worth anything, and you wanted to have more respect in the way of how? Do you have more respect now? Does anyone, as before, open the door for you, gets up so you can have a seat, protects you, honors you, respects you? In the past, I remember when I was growing up, if some guys were talking nonsense or talking shit or talking in a language that was not appropriate words, as soon as a woman would walk by, everybody would shut up out of respect. There's a woman, there's a lady. Just her presence would bring discipline and conformity, respect to the whole society. When a man would walk with a woman, he was elated, he was more respectable because there was a woman who trusted him to walk beside him. That's the value of woman. That's what I call importance, respect. What respect do these women have now with this bullshit of feminism? Feminism, not with the connotation of equality, equality of opportunity, and so on. That I'm all for it. Equality of education, equality of job, equality of everything that you want to, you put your mind to it, you can get it. I'm all for it. I'm 100% behind you. But thinking that you're a man and behaving and sleeping around 100 guys and thinking that that gives you power, and not having that whole class that we kill ourselves for and we went to wars for you. We're the one who do all the heavy lifting and heavy work and dirty work, and whether it's earthquake, we go there. It's a war, we go there. Why? So you can have a quality life that you deserve, so you can be taken care of, protected. That's how important you guys were. Now you wanted to make us feel that you're not important anymore. That's what this kind of a feminism has brought about. And I don't have any remedy for it other than the fact that the society has gone so far to the left that anything beautiful and respectful to woman is canceled and considered not right. I don't know what to say. No, I don't have any opinion. After all that. uh, Mike F. I hope that answers the question somewhere. Um, yeah. Anton, you're interpreting too many things. You have to understand that there's a brain, there's an organ. That's not you. And this brain's job is to make thoughts. And the thoughts that it makes is based on nothing, based on what it has become aware that exists in the world. It's not personal to you. The brain is not you. You're separate from the brain. So brain is an apparatus, and it uses what has become aware that exists in the world to make thoughts. And these thoughts are not based on anything, any message towards you or to you. It's just the fact that it picks up things and makes thoughts. Brain finds security through occupation, through being busy. Guess how busy would it be if he tells you, "Oh, you're a great heterosexual, you love women and women like you." That's the end of the conversation. It can't be busy because he just said something that you approve and that is describing you, and that's it. But if he wants to feel secure, it has to create occupation, busyness in itself. How can it create business? By saying things about you that is contrary and opposite and not welcomed, not in line with your values. Then you rise and try to argue with it. That creates that occupation, busyness, that the brain, finds security in that business of being occupied. But you instead thinking what brain thinks is you, therefore it has a message that you are this. No, it's a malfunction of the caudate nucleus in basal ganglia, in a striatum, in midbrain that is not shutting down intrusive thoughts, which every human being on earth has it. But in a non-OCD brain that is not in the glitch of OCD or OCD subsets, it shuts down the intrusive thoughts as soon as you recognize an intrusive thought of some kind, any kind, shows up. It's, oh, that's nasty. And then shut down, and you're back on what it is that you were set out to do on that day, on that moment. But when there's an OCD brain, as this glitches, it is so powerful and imaginative that it grabs on to that negative thought that is not in line with your values and runs with it with all kinds of different imaginations that can be associated with that stem thought that showed up. And then you read any interpretation that it might be about you, and then you believe the thought. That's the problem. Thoughts come and go 80, 90,000 a day. When one has a glitch of actually trying to protect itself from what is not in line with its values, then it gets into the glitch of making sure that there is no danger to it. Then it persists on data hunting and expands that thought that is not in line with its value, and then suddenly starts doubting his own way of being just because he believed a thought. That's when the problem starts. Otherwise, thoughts are dime a dozen. Everybody has intrusive thoughts. But because they're not in glitch of OCD, they don't believe the thought. They just see it, say, that's nasty, and they judge it, and they let it fall by the wayside and go about their business. But when there's an OCD brain, it actually doesn't judge the thought, it believes the thought. That's the problem. When you separate yourself from the brain, that you are not the brain, brain is not you, then you naturally separate yourself from the thoughts, which is made by the brain, which is not you. Therefore, thoughts are not you. You're not thoughts. You recognize the unwelcomeness and the quality of thought not being in line with your values, and you simply make a judgment on it and allow the thought to be there, but you don't focus on it to has any relevancy to you, because you realize that they're all irrelevant to you, they're meaningless to you. And on that note, you continue what it is that you want to accomplish, instead of being misdirected or distracted by the thought that showed up and trying to make sure that it's not pertaining you. Therefore, you go into data hunting with it and you analyze it and interpret it, and then you have a glitch of believing a thought, and it brings all kinds of things. You know, the French call the OCD doubting disease, which means you just doubt everything about yourself just because a thought showed up. That's the doubting that is a problem. Otherwise, everybody has intrusive thoughts. That's a shutting down of it that is not working as well. It's a malfunction in the brain. Otherwise, everybody has intrusive thoughts. So if you understand that, then you wouldn't be bothered. The idea is accepting that all thoughts can exist. But the existence of a thought doesn't mean that it pertains me, or I'm included in that, or I should find out what it means in regards to me. Nothing. It is no different than accepting that everybody else can exist in this world. Accepting that every other lifestyle or mentality or interest in sports or in foods or differences in the activities that people have can exist. Because it does. But doesn't mean because they are doing something or saying something or eating something or activity in some kind, it would pertain me, or it would mean that I would be included in that. It's just the fact that I accept that all that can exist, but I make my own choices. I'm the only one that has the power of veto and choices. That's why I'm safe. I don't care what kind of intrusive thoughts shows up. I don't care what kind of intrusive thoughts shows up. I am in command, because I am not the brain. Brain is not me, and I have the power. And only me, has the power of vetoes and choices. So I'm always safe. I don't have to assure myself of anything. I allow everything to exist, but I have the choice. I have the power of choice. So the fact that you want to make sure that you are safe, you go on data hunting. But I'm saying to you, allow all thoughts to exist. Same thing with your head, with your brain. It makes thoughts. Accept that all thoughts can exist, but they are meaningless to you. They're not relevant to you. The brain makes thoughts. So what? People are out there all different than me. So what? They can be. I accept that they can exist. I accept thoughts can exist. What does it have to do with me? I roll in life by my vetoes and choices. So I don't have to make sure everything is safe, because everything is. Why? Because I make choices. And I veto things I don't find in line with my values. That's the end of it. There's no threat. The brain has no power to actually make my choices and make my vetoes. It cannot make a suggestion come to actuality and action without me allowing it. It can suggest, but I am the boss who allows anything that comes to the brain become an action in actuality and reality of life, or let it fall by the wayside and disappear and die and never get a chance to become anything of actuality. I, and only I can do that, not the brain. In Dr. Leibetz's experiment in the laboratory, it clearly shows that when you make a veto of a suggestion of the brain, that the brain was naturally registered by the electromagnetic field measuring that was involved when a choice was made. Let's say it was an activity in the brain when half a second before a choice was made, whatever choice it is. But when you veto it, the brain is nowhere to be found. No activity, no magnetic activity whatsoever. Means there are aspects of mind and you that the brain cannot even reach, let alone have anything to do with it coming to fruition at all. So you don't have to worry about anything that comes to the mind because you're the boss, not the brain. And by the way, mind and brain are different. I just use the word mind when I'm talking about brain because it's the context that I'm talking about. Otherwise, brain is not the same as mind. All right. Having said that, Alan 28 UK says, "Hi Miran, I appreciate your work. Would you mind elaborating on how relationships break down over time due to the compatibility in the consciousness changing?" Alan, that's a long discussion, and I don't think we have that much time. I've been already over 39 minutes over 1 hour that I had planned. So perhaps another time, or you're welcome to look at the channel and put the relationship or breakup in the search engine of the channel, and there'll be number of videos. I think we have 3,000 videos on such topics. So then you can enjoy watching it at your leisure. I'm sorry, at this time, it's the end of my live stream. So if you don't mind, I like talking, but, I know when to quit because I'm hungry now. Yeah, Lucas, because that is just the glitch in the brain. It's a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain. There's a lot more to cover. It's like hours of discussion, but all of you, that these live streams can only be good if it's short discussions on different questions. While I love to explain more, however, for that reason, I welcome. I invite you guys to go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. mindthatseekstruth.com, and click on Talk to Mehran and make an appointment for Skype consultation, and we'll go and have a one-on-one chat on what's concerning you, one-on-one on Skype. Yeah. Anto, those are all wrong. You do not do that. Just imagining, yeah, but these are because you want to make sure. You imagine everything to see how you feel that way. So am I this or not? It's all about you trying to make sure that you are what you love to be, which in your case is heterosexual. And that is exactly why you're doing this, because you are not what you're being suggested that you are. So you want to prove that I'm not. And who to? To the brain? You're trying to prove to an apparatus, to an organ, that you're not what you are. You are what you are, regardless of the brain or anybody else says anything. You don't have to prove to the brain. You don't have to prove to an organ. It's silly, but because you've been duped to think brain is you, you're trying to prove to it or argue with it. It's just useless. You are you, and nothing can change you. But these are just intrusive thoughts, and so you stop trying. The fact that you have to understand, HOCD only attacks you if you're not what HOCD says you are. Because HOCD does not include any suggestion that is complementary to what you are. It can only attack you. In other words, when HOCD hits you, the kind that it hits you, you're opposite of what it suggests, because it is the only way HOCD works. HOCD does not attack you with what you are. It always attacks you opposite of what you are. That's why it's HOCD. It attacks homosexuals and it attacks heterosexuals, but it's always opposite of what they are. It suggests to a homosexual that they're heterosexual. That's their HOCD. It suggests to a heterosexual that they're homosexual and all the other things. That's what HOCD is. Otherwise, nobody, if it was you, you wouldn't even have an awareness of any contradiction between the suggestion and who you are. The reason that you are not what HOCD suggests is because you become aware of a contradiction and you question it. You're saying, what is this? If you were what you were being suggested to, you would never say what is it. Like, for example, if an idea comes, if a thought shows up in my head, says, okay, you love women and women love you. Okay. So what's the discussion here? There's no discussion. I wouldn't even notice it because there's no contradiction. There would be no awareness that I should say something, do something, or see it, because there's no contradiction to what I am. So there would be no awareness. Awareness, there's only awareness when there's a contradiction. So if you become aware that something is different, that's because there's a contradiction. And the reason that there's contradiction, because you're not what is being suggested. And that's where the awareness comes. So you can, this simple thing can tell you that never in a million years you are what the HOCD is suggesting. Regardless of what your gender is, whatever HOCD is attacking you, whatever your gender is, you're not it, because you would not become aware that there is anything other than what you are if that what was being suggested was you. You would not see the difference. You would not feel anything. As I said, it's just like a thought comes to my mind that I like that girl. Okay, yeah. That's smooth transition. There's no bumpy, there's no, anything that would be out of ordinary for me to become aware of a contradiction. Awareness only shows up when there's a contradiction. So the fact that you guys are aware and making all these calculations, interpretations, and talks and discussions and questions is because there's a contradiction. Contradiction what? Contradiction between the suggestion and what you are, which means you're never what the HOCD suggests. Now, the fact that the brain is malfunction is powerful to make the body react and all the rest of it, that's the way that you need to educate yourself how to manage and retrain and rewire the brain so it will behave according to your gender as it always did. So that's a breakup, that's a malfunction, not your function. It's a malfunction of the signaling system of the brain. If you understand all these things, it becomes much easier. Through education, you will rewire your brain and you'll be just as perfect as, even you become a stronger heterosexual once you go through HOCD, because now you become aware of the movement and the behavior and the components of the brain. And then now you become very powerful in who you are, what you are, through the knowledge of the glitches and malfunctions that the brain can go through, and nothing can actually bamboozle you because you always know this is the malfunction. You won't fall for it anymore. And you will learn how to understand the glitches of the brain and how you can simply understand that all thoughts are acceptable to be allowed to present itself. But I choose my path according to what I am, not according to suggestions of thoughts or images or ideas based on my vetoes, preferences, and choices. And that's why you're always safe. Then you learn how to deal with rewiring your brain to get the HOCD to be handled rather than bothering you. All right. Okay, guys. There are lots of more questions here, I guess, but Male 44 Switzerland, the last question I guess we're going to go through. It says, Hi, Mehran. What drives a young guy to marry? The urge to give half of what you own to a woman after you divorce. It's something we're all very generous by nature. And we love women. We want to help them to be wealthy. So we marry them and then we give half of our stuff so they can go on with their lives. Okay, just a kidding here. And do you think marriage will fulfill these expectations of young men? Or is it usually a huge disappointment? Because the motivation and expectations of marriage has been so far-fetched now. In the old days, there was a discipline to it, there was a tradition to it, there was an importance to it, to make a family, to have children, to provide for the woman, and the woman would provide for the man with the way she would run the house, run the family, associate in the society, and how she would complement the ability of the man to provide and to raise the children. Together they had a plan to build a life, and each role was clear and it was accepted. That's the acceptable role by choice. And the society had limited this role of a woman to be that only, and no stress or interest was put on career and bringing money and economically being active, and none of that. That was a man's job, and it was simply accepted in that society. And nowadays are different. Women don't think that they should marry to have provisions and comfort and safety. They can create that for themselves by their own careers and education and mastering in some field and make money and so on. And they don't need necessarily to be taken care of. They can do it themselves. So they now want to become something that they thought is what they want. And they've been sold a bill that they want to, have many different partners, and being married is not that important. They can be unmarried and go to another one, because they're always looking for entertainment rather than building a life. Today, marriage is like they want to have this thing out of their way, that I got married. Some guy liked me and gave me a ring, and I'm now more, valuable than before because I'm proven that, and this is what they're at. They're trying to prove themselves they're worthy by getting that final commitment from some guy that they want to commit themselves to them. But the women no longer are committed to that promise. If they don't like something and the society has accepted that they're more than welcome to divorce and go to another, they will. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Many marriages are based on lust and need or intimacy or some compatibility, psychological security that they think they can bring to each other when they get married because they have some common grounds. But then as the consciousness grows and changes dynamically, they no longer are compatible and they want divorce. And that is accepted nowadays. So they get divorced and they go to somebody else. And then the same cycle will happen and they get divorced again. They go to somebody else until the time that they're too old and nobody wants to be with them, and they would have a hard time to find someone that they've been thinking that that is what they're looking for all their lives. And they look back and see, well, I really fucked it up, didn't I? This guy and then that guy and then the other guy, and none of them so it's not really the guy, it's the whole concept of not wanting to build something, endure something, make something, compromise. It's just the culture of disposability. If it's not it, I'll change it, go to somebody else because society accepts it. It's not a problem. I can divorce this one and go to somebody else. So all of that, an inability to understand that it's the consciousness that makes changes in itself, and that will continuously happen no matter what kind of how many different partners they have. That consciousness constantly can change. Their expectations could change. So that means if they are willing to break a relationship for no good reason, just some differences that they don't like and their ego comes to the picture, I want to have more attention, I want to be important by force, not by activity and contentment, then they go to somebody else and the same thing happens there. And then at the end of their life, they've married 2 or 3 times, or a couple of times at least, and they still know it's not the one that they want. Why? Because the consciousness is dynamic. It's not absolute and stationary. It moves, it changes, it learns. And if you don't compromise and learn that this is a journey rather than things should be the way I want all the time, and those moments makes you make decisions that is contrary to when you were trying to get married and feel the way you did for the reasons that you did. So you just bring instability in your life. And this is what's happening today. They get married for reasons that is not thought through. And part of that reasoning that is not thought through is that the turmoils and turbulences that could naturally happen in life, and they're not an evidence that the marriage should end. These are just how it's going to be when 2 people live together day in, day out. But they're not really justifying reasons that I got to get divorced. Well, getting married is a big step anyhow. How can you consciously, unconscious level, be compatible with someone 100%? If that's your expectations, you will always divorce. You will never stay with someone because there's always going to be differences. But you got to understand there's not a perfect world, and there's no two people that would actually hit it off for always, forever. There's so many fights and disagreements. It's because they don't understand the movement of the psyche, and it's all about thoughts, consciousness, content of the consciousness, fears, desire, and ego. All of that is interfering with the quality of life. And if they can't figure that out, how to deal with their ego and their fear and the desire and so on, they could hardly be able to deal with each other. First, they got to deal internally with these dangers, with these elements that are at work, bringing instability in us and psychological insecurity in us. Then they can expect some kind of a stable relationship with their partners. Anyhow, all right, it's time for me to say goodbye. I'm hungry. I gotta go eat. And so it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next session. I don't know where that will be. I wish well for everyone around the world. It's challenging times we're going through. Lots of governments are putting the pressure on their people, the very people who hired them, and they're betraying them. by enforcing certain things that is not necessarily in line with people's personal preferences and decisions in regards to, being forced to do certain things that they don't want to do. Their freedoms are in danger. So we must all be vigilant and aware of protecting the one thing that is most important in our lives beside our health, the one thing, the very one thing that brings civility and makes this world as worthy as it should be, beside our health: freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom of movement, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, freedom of being any race that you happen to be, freedom of being equal in the eyes of the law, and the laws to be fair, just, and not infringed upon by the very governments that are hired to protect them. And the police forces must always remember their duty is to protect the people, not the government, when the government is infringing on the Constitution of a nation and the Charter of Rights. May you all be well. Looking forward for the next time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.
But we too, like the iceberg, have 1,000 times bigger powers that is not visible, and we must. Why? Is it something we're rambling on and I expect you to accept it? Or is there actually another power within us? Would you come and help me out? Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands underneath my arms and just lift me up. There we go. Okay, now, that's my physical part, right? Same thing. Again, with that. Just want to see if there's any difference. Go ahead. Now, go ahead. Now, this, go ahead, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
So you see, this is different than what he was doing, and I'm not really doing anything. You convinced?
Yeah.
So are you guys convinced that there is something other than, thank you. Thank you very much.